I'm Yvonne Chotzen, and I'm so privileged today to have the opportunity to spend time and share with you the life, teachings, and work of renowned coach Keya Murthy. Keya, thank you for being with us today. I know many of your tribe follow you regularly, but I know that they have never heard the story you're about to share. So, you grew up in the faraway exotic land of India. Tell us about your earliest beginnings.
Before I tell you about my earliest beginnings, I have to go to a time before I was conceived. My mother, she's from Bengal, and originally she's from Bangladesh, which wasn't Bangladesh at that time. It was still India because she was born in a nation that was a slave. It was a slave nation to the British colonies. My father too. And so my father is from Andhra Pradesh, which is still an Indian state. But my mother was born in what was in those days called East Bengal. And then India got split into East Pakistan and West Pakistan. It became East Pakistan and it became a Muslim nation. And she had to come to India as a teenager and go to school and study and graduate from college. And she was a very independent woman all her life. So she's a Bengali. My father is a Telugu. For the rest of the world, we are all Indians. But for Indians, we are not Indians. We are Bengali, Telugu, Assamese, Gujarati. We are the language we speak. We are the place where we come from. So my parents, their common language was English. So my mother is from East, where people don't speak Hindi. My father is from South, where people don't speak Hindi. So their common language was English. So
Hmm.
English was the language I heard in the crib. So English is my first language. It's the first language of my sister, my brother, and I. I'm a firstborn. And growing up, when you're 3 in India, you go to school, not 5. You go to school at 3. I wouldn't talk and I wouldn't walk. It's not that I could not, but I would not because I had 4 words and that was my vocabulary. But I would respond to everything people said. So the doctor said she's not deaf and she's also not dumb because one day my father told my mom because my mom was working and she was coming up the hill and my dad was all smiley and there was this little boy who used to take care of me and he was all smiley and my mom is like, what happened? Oh, her daughter can sing. I was, what? She doesn't talk. Yeah, she doesn't talk, but she can sing. So my mom tried everything possible to make me sing, but I didn't sing. And that weekend, she was sitting on the floor and cleaning the fish. I told you Bengalis, we eat fish. And she heard me sing to our cat. We had a cat named Minnie, and I was singing to my cat. And this was the words I was singing, which it is a song by Tagore. My mom was a singer, and she would sing these songs and from her, and I was singing that there's a song in my heart, and that song is not a lie.
Could you gift us by singing that right now?
Okay, I will tell you, I cannot sing right now. And the reason I can't sing is because if I sing, you may not be able to hear it because I have Windows 11 now. And on Zoom, music does not translate. Only when I
Oh,
speak, you can hear. So I'll still try to sing it. Um, and I hope you get to hear it. And the way it goes is Rani Ganna Chita Theri Mujhe পাখিতে যে গান খোঁজে বেলা যায় তারি খোঁজে গানে গান নাম যে so
so
what it means is
yeah.
did you hear
Oh,
anything?
Yeah,
Could you
some
hear?
of it came through, but you're right. Some of it was lost
Yes.
in the transmission. Tell us what it means again.
It means that in my heart there is a song, and that song isn't a lie. It's not an illusion. And I keep searching for it. And the flute plays this song too. And I wander through this desert land, following the sound of the flute where it leads me.
And it
And
sounds
that's
like that song has been one of the monikers of your life, following the song in your heart. Was that a song that your mom had sung to you many times? Was that how you knew it?
no, because she sang to me many songs and she
Mhm.
taught me to sing many songs. So I don't know why I picked that song that day and why was I singing it to my cat, and my mom heard and said, "Oh, thank God she can't see, she can't talk, but she can definitely sing." So we know that. And the
And
doctor would say, like, she's not deaf, she's not dumb, it's just that she doesn't speak. And
right.
I wouldn't
And it
even walk.
can,
I'll tell you that
no, no, you couldn't even walk. Finish what you were going
I
to say.
couldn't walk. So they got a chair and they would hold the chair and I would walk. So they said, okay, she can walk with the chair, right? Let's remove the chair. The moment they removed the chair, I would sit down. I don't want to walk. So this is what happened. But if they ever played Elvis, I would get up and I would start twisting. They said she knew how to twist, she knew how to dance, but she wouldn't walk. So I could sing before I could talk, and I could dance before I could walk. That's truly my story.
That's beautiful. And do you think in your 3-year-old self, there was a reason that you weren't talking as you look back on it now and ask your little girl, what was I feeling?
So this is what's coming up for me because so much is lost in words. We just talk, we just blabber, we just make noise. But how much are we truly speaking our truth? Because you help us find our stories, and we never are honest with ourselves and we never speak our truth. Everything is a lie anyway. It's an illusion, in the philosophical sense. So what's there to talk? Like, how's it going? Hey, how's it going? So maybe at that time I already knew from my previous incarnation. Don't waste your time talking.
Got it. And before we go further, is the marriage between a Telugu and a Bengali unusual? Was
Yes.
it? I see. So was it like a Christian and a Jewish family might be have it? In other words, did it cause eyebrows to raise in the
Oh, yes,
community?
absolutely. Absolutely. It's not like a Christian and a Jew because both my parents are Brahmins. So it wasn't religion, but it was like if this is the 60s, if an African American married Caucasian descent. I was like, why? I mean, both of you are Christians. I'm like, but why? Don't you have
Mhm.
enough black women? Don't you have enough white men? Like, why are you marrying across? So it was like more interracial than interreligion. Like,
I
if
see.
a French person wants to marry a German, like what their parents are like, oh, and this is the 60s. So you have to think about it too, some context. Even today, 2024, in India, people have arranged marriages. Like, I was there with my friend 2 months ago, and he was telling, my son is 31 and I have to find a bride for him. And I said, why? Can't he find someone on his own? And his son has a master's degree in engineering and an MBA, and he lives in Calgary, Canada. And the father, who lives in India, in Gujarat, is responsible to find a bride for his son. And I said, why? Like, and this is what he says: I did not raise my children to be that modern.
And he has all those degrees.
Hmm.
And this is the son accepting of his father's choice?
No,
That
in fact, the father, like he said, like on his 30th birthday, his father said, like, son, you're 30, and people are asking me, why isn't your son married? Why isn't your son married? I don't know what to say. Do you have someone in mind? let us know who you want to marry. He says, no, Dad, you can find a girl for me. That's okay.
Yeah,
That's India.
that's well, there's some fabulously successful marriages out of that arrangement, you have to admit. So,
Mhm.
was your parents' marriage arranged?
No, there's no way their parents would get them together. No.
And
So my
how did
father
they
wasn't.
yeah, how did they
They,
find
they
each
met
other?
at a bus stop. At a bus stop. I had to take these buses. My father was an electrical engineer and he worked in Indian Oil Corporation, and he was good at because before that he worked in Bhilai steel plant, and India was a brand new country. You have to understand it. India became independent in 1947. India became a republic in 1954. And this, I'm talking about the early 60s. So in 1962, my father came to Assam, and the train came only to this edge of Brahmaputra River, and then they had to take a boat. He had to go down and take a boat and cross the boat because there was no bridge over the river, and then from there take a meter gauge train. So there was a broad gauge train and a meter gauge train, and take the train into Guwahati, and it was a forest. There were tigers and jackals and rhinoceroses and elephants in those forests.
Oh my
So
God.
first they had to do the deforestation, and then, dig up the ground, and the civil engineers and chemical engineers and mechanical engineers and electrical engineers, they were all working together to put this oil refinery with the help of Romanian consultants. The Romanian engineers came from Romania to teach these Indian people, okay, this is how you're going to, because that was USSR in those days, right? This is how you're going to have build a refinery. So so you can't live in the jungle. You just go there, work, and come back, right? So he was staying in the city, and my mother was in the courthouse. And she was a court reporter, and they met at the bus stop.
They must have seen each other several days at the same time or something. How
Uh-huh.
funny.
Yes, 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 yes.
So it
So my
must have
dad
been,
was
yeah, it must have
my dad
been,
was
go ahead.
my dad was getting off the bus because that was at the end of the day, and my mom was getting on the bus to go home.
I see. So every day they would chat. And
Yeah.
was their love affair scandalous when it came to light? And did their parents accept it, your grandparents?
Oh, my grandparents never accepted it. So when people say these nice stories about the grandparents, I don't have any nice story about either of my grandparents because no one was nice. No one was nice to their kids. And they're dependent on the children for financial stability. And
Wow.
that was their thing that, now the money is going to go away, right? And because I was born with this darker skin, my maternal grandparents said, you're not a Bengal, you're a Telugu. And my paternal grandparents says, you're not a Telugu, you're a Bengali. So both shooed me.
How painful. No one
Yeah.
embraced you. What's the difference in ages between you and your siblings?
My sister is 1 year and 10 months younger than me, and she's the second child. And she was fair, you know. I mean, I'm dark, she's fair. Indian standards, dark brown, light brown.
Mhm.
But in India, because Indians are colorist people, even today, we all want fair and lovely. And there was actually a bleaching cream that was sold in the 70s in India, and it was called Fair and Lovely. And even now in India, you can buy body lotions and face creams that have a whitening agent that will guarantee a lighter skin tone. Because now they can't say fair and lovely because everyone talks about being colorist, so they don't talk about it anymore. But yes. So my sister, and she was this extroverted child and who would go out and talk to people. And so everybody just loved her. And it's like, oh, look at that dark girl. And plus, I used to go and hide everywhere. Nobody should see me. I don't, I would rather not exist than be there. So people preferred her over me, which is fine by me even today. But once when I was 6 years old, I heard someone tell my dad that, oh, Mr. Murthy, your younger daughter, she's fair and she's pretty. And that is so nice. It'll be easy for you to give her in marriage. But your older daughter, she's dark. You might have to pay a lot of money in dowry to get her married. And
Incredible.
And I heard that and I said, my dad is never going to pay a cent to get me married.
And that came true, correct?
That came true. In fact, even this morning, I was talking to my sister, and I had visited my mother's maternal village, her ancestral home, and it was whatever. Nothing was nice because my aunt, again, she has that thing, right? She was envious of my mother and she didn't like me. I was darker and all that kind of stuff. And even in the village, those little people, those little kids, she was talking about the neighbor whose wife and kid came to visit her. They never came to visit me. Who needs to visit her, right? But they came to visit my sister, and which is good, right? Which is a great thing. My sister loves to meet with people, and people love to meet with her. And that little kid who was 5 years old told my sister, Auntie, you're so beautiful. You're so fair. She met me. She never told me I'm beautiful. And she told my sister. And my sister said, Oh, but I'm so old, but you're still so beautiful. You're so fair.
Wow.
India still has that. Like, does a 5-year-old know such things?
Yeah. So it's
And
implanted from an early age, the racism.
yeah, and plus it's part of, like, when you get a little puppy, even when they're 6 weeks old, they will see a carpet or the doormat and they run over there to pee because they know it's in their genetics.
Yeah.
So it's the same way. This 5-year-old, nobody told her that fair is good and dark is bad, but the child knows that, okay, this auntie is dark, good, whatever. This auntie is pretty because she's fair. And so I want to visit her and hang out with her. But she's dark. Who wants to hang out with her?
Well, to me,
2024, 8th of March. It's still true in India.
wow, I can just tell you, to me, you're fair and beautiful. Perfect. So it sounds like that sounds like a painful beginning in some ways. And because of the forces in the families of your parents not celebrating the marriage, did that opprobrium and criticism come down on you and your siblings in some way? And if so, how? What was that like?
Yes. Yes. So my mom, she was hell bent on having a son because if she had a son, her in-laws would accept her, right? And she had a daughter. Oh, when I was born in the hospital, it was January 6, 1966. It was cold, Assam, East, foothills of the Himalayas. We were like 63 miles in from China border.
Wow.
Okay. So that's how close we were in Northeast India. And I was born at 9:12. No, I was born at 8:52 night. So when I came out and I was a girl, my dad was waiting outside. So they went out and told him, Congratulations, Mr. Murthy, you have a daughter. And he went home. He didn't come in to see my mom. He did not see me. And they
How
said
painful.
to my mom that he went home. All night, my mom stayed up because she didn't know if my dad would come back tomorrow or if she would be abandoned in the hospital with her daughter. My mom was still working. So it was not that for money's sake, but
Mhm.
like, you're being abandoned by your husband when you had a baby, and she wanted a daughter, son, son, son. And look, so she was disappointed when my dad left that night.
Wow.
So I was born unwanted.
Wow.
I was
It's
an unwanted
painful.
child.
And that disappointment seeps into the baby's cells, into
Mhm.
the baby's essence. I am
Yeah.
so sorry. I just want to hug little baby
Oh,
Keya. Go, you're here.
thank
Yay.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Celebrate
you.
you. How painful. What a start.
Right.
So moving a little bit older after you started talking and your sister came and your brother came, what are your earliest recollections that you can share with us of how your schooling shaped you to become one of the youngest engineers to escape your homeland and come, I think you said at 20 with an engineering degree to be able to get a job to earn enough money at that young, tender age in a foreign country to send $1,000 a month home to your parents. What an amazing trajectory. How did that happen?
So I was again this dark-skinned girl, right? You go to school, you come back from school, you go to school, you come back from school. And I used to ride the bicycle. I used to ride the bicycle everywhere I went. And people would notice me. They would notice me. Oh, she rides the bicycle. She rides the scooter, We had a Vespa. I used to
That
ride
was
the scooter.
unusual. That was
Yeah, yeah.
unusual.
When I
Oh,
was 12, yes, I used to ride my dad's Vespa and I used to just go about, ride the bicycle, which was a Raleigh bicycle. This is all how ancient India is and how
but
old I am.
but girls didn't usually do that.
And
Never.
girls never went out alone together. They went out together with someone else. Yeah.
Oh.
Even today, it's not safe for women to go out alone anywhere. You always go out with 2 or 3 other women and hopefully have 1 or 2 men too with you. So if you're walking down the street, you're safe. Like somebody doesn't grab you, somebody doesn't touch you. Because it's not a good feeling. Even when you're 58 and somebody touches you on the road, you're like everything gets triggered within you, like all the stuff. So people would like the first time I remember, I was 14 and I came home and my mom said, the baker wants to meet you. And I'm like, why? And she said, Sheikh uncle. His name was Mr. Sheikh. And she said, Sheikh uncle wants to meet you. And I'm like, okay. So I went to him and I said, like, Namaste uncle, like, why do you want to meet me? Like, what's going on? And he says, I have a friend and his son is struggling with his studies. Can you go and help him with his homework and make sure he passes the school year? And I said, huh? I said, just go to their home. So I went and that lady opened the door and she said, can you help my son with his homework? And so he passes the school year. And he was failing. And in India, if you get less than 35, you fail. And all his subjects, he was less than 35. So there was no way, because 1 year he had already failed. And the next year also, he was on the verge of failing. So I said, okay, I'll help him. And the auntie said, how much money do you want? And I was like, oh, they're going to pay me? I'm like, 150 rupees. And they said, okay, 150 rupees.
Which tell your listeners what that is in dollars.
Today, that is less than $2.
Oh,
But in 1980, like none of my friends had even 2 rupees to their name. I had 150 rupees a month coming in my name.
so that set you apart right away. How did that baker know you were so smart?
You know, when you are who you are, people always know you. Because I never talked nonsense. They never saw me hanging out in a crowd with girls or with boys. I get off the bus, I go home. I come from home, get on the bus, go to school, you know. Yeah, I stay by myself on my bike, I say, but when people know you, they know you. You don't have to do anything about it. Like even today, as an entrepreneur, when my clients, I don't do any marketing, I don't do any sales. People
Mhm.
come to my inbox, either on my cell phone, a text comes or an email comes, and they fill out a form and they are like, oh, they want to work with me. So I don't go out and pitch myself. I attract people to come to me. And it happens through spirit. So that was my first money earning from
And
when I
how
was
did how
14.
did
And
the young man do under your tutelage?
oh, in 1 year, he scored more than 95 in all subjects, math, science, language. Yes, all my students from failing, and these kids, because in India, teachers taught in schools till like 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, and then kids went home, they showered and they ate something, and then they went for tuition. And, and teachers also would go home, shower, change, eat something. And in the living room, all the students, the neighborhood students would come to do their homework. But they only taught kids who were good to get better. They never took failing kids because it was a reputation, right? I have a failing kid. So the failing kids would come to me And by next year, like in 9 months, they were all scoring more than 95. Because
What did
all
you
I did
do?
was, yeah, all I did was just sit with them and take them through the process. You ask questions, you give them time, and they know that Didi, or like big sister, they would call me Didi. Didi cares, you know? Like I put my hand on their shoulder, I touch their hand, sometimes I put my hand on their head. This is transference of energy, and they feel like Didi cares, she loves me, she cares about me, she asks me questions, she listens to me. It's not like telling you 2 plus 2 is math. I'm like, do it. There's two, and then there's two, and add and count. Oh, it's four. Okay, 2 plus 2 is four. Not like learn by rote. Get them to understand, and it comes from within you. So whether it's biology, whether it's physics, chemistry, mathematics, history, geography, sociology, whatever, I taught everything.
It's just amazing. And your own grade stayed high through all of that how big
Yes.
at any one point was your teaching cycle?
I mean, it was the 9 months of the school because, summer vacation. But my teaching, I taught for 7 years full time, from 14 to 21.
That's amazing. And did it pay your way in some regard to America? Did you save your money? No.
I would buy stuff for my brother, a cricket bat and a ball, a tennis bat and a ball, and buy them some pants or shirts or whatever. It was just chum change. But it was still money. But I used to do one thing. Oh my God, now that you tell me, I used to, like, if I did not buy gifts from my brother, sister, or whatever, buy some food from the road, some sausage and salami or something, which things my mother wouldn't cook, some samosa or something. I used to put my money away. And when I was 23, from my town, when I graduated with a master's, my bachelor's is in physics and my master's is in computer science. And I got my first job that was out of town. And the bus was taking a lot of time. And I said, man, I should buy a scooter. So it was a kinetic Honda. And my mom sent me the money that I had saved. And that was 17,000 rupees.
Oh, and that bought your scooter.
That bought me my own scooter, brand new.
Your
Yes.
own money. Oh, how amazing. And was that unusual in the bigger community for a girl to be on a scooter, or was that accepted at that point?
No, no, no. At that time, it was very unusual. Girls don't ride scooters alone on the road. No, I'm talking about 1988, 1989. No.
But you did it and you felt safe.
Yeah, of course, yes. I mean, because again, like when you know within you are fine, you are fine.
Mhm,
It's the confidence. And the thing that'll chew away, gnaw away at your confidence is doubts.
mhm.
So to have that courage and tell fear, okay, take a pause, or to have the confidence and tell your doubts, okay, tomorrow we'll talk tomorrow, but today let me just go. And the moment, and it's all about that first time. You do it once, then you do it again, and then you do it again, and you do it again.
Wow. And so just summarize for us. So what happened at 21 that brought you to America?
So I graduated from the university and I had a job. And in India, I came here, I did not come at 21 because I did my master's and then I worked for 2 years
Mm,
as a software engineer in India. I worked in the banks because in those days, banks and railways, they were the only ones who had money and who were computerizing their offices.
I see.
So the people who worked under me were as old as my dad because I was in my early 20s, 22, 23 years old. And the people who had to learn how to do stuff, and there was a lot of resistance because this is what they had a mindset: if we have computers we will become jobless, nobody will need us again. So they did not want to tell me what they were doing so I can write the code or take it to the programmers and help them write the code so we can have a computerized system. And then I told them, you know how the computer is in an air conditioned room? no one else is going to use the system. Once it gets computerized, you would be using the system and you would get an air conditioned office. And right away, they wanted to tell me what they were doing with their computer.
That's
So it was
great.
just inventory. It was a cash management module. It was invoicing, things like that. The things that banks use and small offices use. But they got, oh yeah, a computer is always is an air conditioned office. I get an air conditioned office so I can use the computer. And right away their fear was gone. And they gave me all, and people would be like, so easy for you to go and get user requirements done. How can we struggle with it? I'm like, yeah, nobody wants to talk to you because they think if they tell you, you will take away their job. But that's not true. We'll be the ones working on their thing, right? So that's how I got it. And then of course I met my husband. I was in Bangalore and we got married and I came to America.
So
Met
you
him
both came
yesterday.
at the same time?
Yes, we came at the same time. Yes.
And he's also in computer sciences, correct?
In fact, no, but that in those days, that was the ticket to come to America,
I
was
see.
because the Y2K was happening. People thought all computers would crash
Yeah.
when year 2000 came. So the way people came to America from India in those days, if you could write some code. So his background is physics. Okay, he studied physics like me, and then he studied metallurgy, which is the science of metals. So he was a metallurgical engineer, and then he was an industrial engineer. So
Wow.
like we are the top 10 people in every batch that get to study in industrial engineering. So he was one of those great brains of India.
Wonderful. And
And
how did you find your way to America? Did you both apply together for a job or?
no, he got his job first, and then we got married, and then I came, and I applied for a job here. So I was working for Honeywell in those days, Honeywell Computers in Phoenix, and then I went to Chicago, and yeah, lots of stories. But
More
people
so?
wanted a software engineer. People
And
wanted a software engineer, someone
so
who can write
you
code.
found yourself in great demand because of the STEM skills, the software engine.
Yes, and
Beautiful.
plus I could speak English. I could fluently communicate in English. That's one of the things, when people come from another country, they know the language, but the communication skills are not that great.
Exactly. Oh, how blessed. What a
Yes.
blessing of your parents' mixed marriage that it
Hmm.
led to you and your brother and sister being so fluent in English.
English,
And they
yes.
spoke English in the home. That's just amazing. So you were how
Yes.
old when you came and where did you first land?
25, and I landed in Phoenix, Arizona.
And how did that feel to you?
It was hot. When I got off this plane and I was like, the heat hits and I'm not, you're walking Skyway, and I'm like, why am I over here? And then right away, like in 6 months, of course, in 5 months or 6 months, I got it. That was September 6th. And then February 8th, I flew into Chicago. When I flew into Chicago, it was like 98 degrees in Phoenix, and in Chicago, it's 8 degrees Fahrenheit.
You're freezing.
Yes, and I started working for Abbott, the pharmaceutical company.
Also using your software. No,
Yes, because everybody wanted computers.
software.
Yes,
I
everybody.
see. Is it
Yes.
kind of like today where everybody wants the STEM skills? Is it this, was it the same,
Mhm.
like, yeah, hunger for it? So
Yes, the
you
hunger
used your STEM skills to launch your life. And how
mhm.
long did you stay in the tech world?
Till the year 2001. In 2001, we had a terrorist attack in this country, and I was in Dallas in those days. And our main clients were the airlines industries and the electronics industries, and the jobs left the country because there was no more the fear of Y2K, that our computers will crash, and the jobs started going back to India. So
Wow.
here you might have to pay $5,000 a month. And if you have a person in India in those days, for $1,000, you can get one employee for a year.
Wow. That's amazing.
So the jobs left the country, and I had to go back and go
You
through
went back to
research.
India.
No, go back within myself.
Oh, go
My
back
youngest
on
one,
yourself. We'll talk about that. So that was a big transition time for you.
it was a big transition time. Yes. A lot of the jobs left, and I was in Dallas, and people said, "Oh, you can go to California. You can go to California and get a job." And I'm like, I have a house, I have a husband, I have kids. I don't need to go to California. I'm going to stay here, right? But it's not working. It's not working. And so my youngest one was 1 year old. And then I had my 7 year old and then my 4 year old. So early morning, you wake up and you're working. And then I hear this noise. So my 4 year old is out there and he looks up at me and he says, "Mom, I'm so happy to see you at home in the morning." And I'm like, who needs a job? I have my kids over here with me.
Oh, how sweet.
Yes.
Wasn't used to you ever being there because you always went to work.
I went to work and we had nannies. You have money, you have nannies at home who take care of the kids. So, and when
So
you're
how did
single,
that comment from him change your life?
yeah, I decided no more job. I'm not looking for a job, but I still need to make money. My mom raised us with one thing, that a woman with no money of her own is a woman with no respect of her own, because she has to ask for favors and offer favors.
Mm,
So this was like drilled into my sister and me. Like my mother was accepted by her in-laws after my brother was born, who's 9 years younger than me. So
but
for
only
11 years
after.
of a married life, she was not accepted by the family. She did not give a son.
Wow,
What kind of a woman is she? Why do we need her?
so painful.
Right. And so for me, it was like, I need a job, but I need to work from home. And I came across an ad that said, work from home and make $6,000. And I was like, what is that? It was a trick. It was Herbalife ad.
Oh,
Distributors place their ads.
I
Then
see.
I
Yeah.
applied, and then I went through many multi-level marketing companies, and then I realized that was also not it.
Yeah.
Came to California when the time was right. I came to California, came across an ad that said you can be a hypnotist for free. And I called them. I said, "This is America. Nothing is free. Why are you saying hypnotist for free?" They said, "Oh, that's just a 1 month course, but you can do the full year and you can be a clinical hypnotherapist. So come on over and write your test." So I went to Tarzana on Reseda Avenue,
Right.
101. And I
Yep.
used to drive 3 days a week, sometimes even 4 days a week, and went through my 1 year program. And yeah, and I became a clinical hypnotherapist.
Wow. That's amazing. How old were you when you graduated from the school?
39.
And so you already had clients probably waiting that had been patients along the way, or
Oh my
did
God, no, let me tell you the story. The
I
day I enrolled, when I was coming back, because you have to drive for 45 minutes, I called a friend of mine and said, "Guess where I'm coming from?" He says, "Guess where you're coming from?" I said, "I just enrolled to be a hypnotherapist." And he's like, "Oh, now you know all my secrets." He said, "I'll be your first client. How much will you charge?" I said, $50 an hour. So the day I enrolled, because all you have to do is read your script, and $50. I charged him $50. He paid me $50, and he was my client over the phone.
wow. And you read scripts to help heal him?
Yeah, like just once you read it, and because that's
You
another. I
got
have
it.
two gifts:
Yeah.
mathematics and memory. Both of them are very good with me.
Both of
So
them are
yeah.
very good. I can attest to that, having been with you in many situations. Wonderful. And then how did you come to author 11 books? How did that transpire?
So this was 2014, and I was like, "Oh, I need to do something. I need to do something. I need to do something." I don't know what to do. And I used to write. I used to write when I was little. I have always been a writer. I have always written, because that's how, I'm quiet. I don't speak. Nobody will believe that now that I don't talk, but I don't want to talk nonsense. But I used to write. Like, I want to be a published author. And I didn't know what to do. And I came across an ad that said, "Get your book done."
Okay.
So I signed up for that. And of course, and be an international best-selling author in 1 year. And I'm
Wow.
like, Okay. Yeah, you have
Did
to
it
pay twelve
happen? Did
thousand
it come
dollars.
about? Yeah, did it
Yeah.
work?
Yep.
Wow, that's
So,
great.
so I'm like, a year? I don't have that much time. So I wrote my first book, 11 Steps to Goal Getting. That was the first book I wrote, and it was 11 steps in 11 days. I finished it, a chapter
Wow,
a day.
that still sounds like a
And
great course.
and in 11, and that is part of my Braveheart coaching program that I take my clients through those 11 steps.
Beautiful.
And the book that became number one international best-selling book was Pebbles in the Pond, Wave 4.
Oh, can you hold it up? Is it there with
No,
you?
it's nowhere near me. No.
Okay.
So
So let's
yes,
remember pebbles in the pond. And what was the next part?
Wave 4. So this
Wait,
lady, she used to
wait.
do this series. So
Uh-huh.
it was the fourth wave.
Oh, fourth wave. Pebbles in the pond, fourth wave.
Yeah,
And what
Wave
was the
4.
outcome? What happened with that book?
So this is where I was, like you have this, the book is launched and you have this high. Okay. Everyone is online because it was a collaboration of 28 authors, and there were people who had contributed their stories was Marcy Shimoff, Neil Donald Walsh. Everybody had put one chapter into that book. And so my chapter was also in that book. So the book was launched. You became an international best-selling author on Amazon overnight. And you're like, now what?
Yeah.
So I said, okay, time to write another book. Then I wrote my next book, my third book, which is Landing Off the Lap of Buddha, 12 steps. I was going to write 12 steps because this is where the physicist and the mathematician comes up with the numbers. And I said,
Yeah.
no, simple steps to stop suffering.
Beautiful. I have to look for that one.
Yeah.
Simple steps to stop. What color is
Stop.
the cover?
It's orange and green. Yeah, it's all on Amazon. All my books are there on,
Beautiful. So if
yeah.
we put in Keya Murthy, will they all come up?
Yes.
Beautiful. And,
All my
and
11
all
books.
can be paid for just with a credit card, Venmo, Zelle, or
No,
Google Zelle.
Amazon is credit card. Amazon doesn't take Venmo or Zelle, I think. So they
Okay.
do only. So all my books can be bought from Amazon, and I'll send you the link.
Yeah, send us the link so our viewers can have all 12 of your books. So now there's a big transition that has to come in your life. So tell us how you went from being that entrepreneurial person to being a healer. What was that journey?
I had an accident, and my car rolled and fell into a ditch upside down. And I'm one of those people who do not go to Western science, Like, I'm like, what are you going to do? I need to go home. My kids are waiting at home, I need to go home. So I went home, and the next morning when I woke up, I felt like there was a rock on my chest.
Oh,
So I called up a friend of mine. I used to live in Winter in those days. I called up my friend in Ohio, and she says, honey, don't let anyone touch you. I'm going to give you this number of this healer, and you need to go to her. And her name
wow.
was Diane Castellanos. And I went to her, and she said, just lie down on the table. And she just held my head at the back, She just held
Uh-huh.
my head. And in an hour, when I got off this thing, I was like, oh, it feels lighter. I'm already a hypnotherapist, and this healer is just holding my head for an hour, and I wake up feeling lighter. So I went back again. So I went on a Monday, Wednesday, and a Friday. I did 3 sessions with her, and I'm like, I can do
Oh,
this. I can do this. And I started, and then I got initiated as a Reiki healer.
oh my
I
goodness. You have so many certifications. That's so impressive. Wow.
It's called desperation. It's called survival. You need to do this. And I initiated my kids to become Reiki healers. So
Wow.
I used to get them to hold my head or whatever. And yeah, because Reiki is this energy, right? Universal energy that can flow through you. You are just a conduit.
Yeah.
And then I
And
went to Hawaii and
yeah,
studied.
what drew you to Hawaii and the teachings there? How old are you now about? Just approximately.
Since 2007, I have been practicing Huna and
Wow.
Ho'oponopono. And the biggest thing I got from there is to forgive. You
Okay.
have to forgive, because until then there's shame, there's blame, and there's guilt,
Of course. Wow.
right? And then when you stop blaming others in this new age world, one of the things I've seen us do is we start blaming ourselves. Oh, it's my fault, it's my fault, it's my fault.
Yeah.
No, it's nobody's fault.
Yeah.
It's their fault, it's not your fault. You just take responsibility. And you go through the process of forgiveness and you free yourself from the shackles of the past, from the
Wow.
pain of the past. And
And
once you free yourself, you can have compassion for everyone.
and that, I believe, is the essence of your coaching, correct?
Yes, yes,
Beautiful.
forgiveness.
Can you say that again? The whole sentence. Forgiveness is the key to,
To freedom, to freedom. To And when I say freedom, it's not financial freedom, it is emotional freedom, it is personal freedom. And when you are free within yourself, you can free yourself from everything else that holds you back.
well, on that note, I know you've written 11 amazing books. Would you tell us about your most recent, the
That
making
Okay,
the
I'm working
pathway?
on my 12th book right now, which is The Sun Still Shines. How my journey through my darkness got me closer to light. That book is not out yet, but I'm working on it right now.
That's beautiful. So that's like the story of what you're sharing today.
Right. Yeah.
Beautiful.
But my 11th book, which I published like right before, so that was 2020 or 2021. I don't remember exactly when, because it doesn't matter. The book is out there, and it's the book on happiness. The book on happiness, how to have peace and stability in your life as a working mom.
Beautiful. How to have peace and stability in your life as a
Life,
working mom, the Book of Happiness.
the book
Will
of
will
happiness.
you post the link in the below for
Yes,
your
yes.
listeners? Wonderful. Well, you have given so much of your journey to in such a soulful way, and coming from the darkness like you have, what a message to all of us that you can become an authoress, a healer, a teacher, and a person who can give so much to others despite the pain that you came into the world with. Thank you. I feel so much gratitude.
And I have so much gratitude for you, Yvonne Chotzen. With all the love and light in me, I humbly bow to the love and light that is you, Yvonne, and to our beloved listener.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, thank
Aloha.
you for pulling my story out. Aloha.